you're recording.
Morning, Sadie. How are you?
I'm very well, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. I may have bags under my eyes. I got introduced to Clubhouse last night. Have you heard of this phenomenon?
That's a time vacuum, isn't it?
Yeah. 4 or 5 hours last night. Loved it.
Good.
At Wellity, if you want to find me. That's what my tag is.
So that'll be the first of many hours spent on that, I'm sure.
That's right. Yeah. Last night was a leadership one. They had celebrities in there. They were up on the top table. There was nothing to do with me. I didn't organise it. I was just watching. Had Susan Shaw. They had various others. Beverly Knight. Beverly Knight was on there. She sang 2 songs. It was great. Shout out to Beverly. Yeah. Because I think it was David. Chap just said, look, he asked really cheekily, can you give us a one-off? And she did it twice.
Just belt out a few tunes. Why not?
So meet the team. Episode 1. Meet you, Sadie. Hello, Sadie.
Hello.
All right. I'm interested to know how Wellbeing's changed in the last 10 years. You've been doing this over 10 years, haven't you? You've got a master's in workplace wellbeing. Let me get this right.
Close. Workplace health and wellbeing.
Yes, workplace health and wellbeing. How's it changed in 10 years then, since you've been doing it?
It's risen up the business agenda considerably. Certainly when I started, you go and start talking about stress and well-being, and the conversation was a lot more difficult to broach. Certainly with senior leadership, there was a lot less clarity around responsibility from an organisational perspective, and certainly a lot less understanding of really the level of duty of care and the best way to approach the broader subject of people's well-being. A lot more stigma, a lot more taboo. Stress wasn't certainly talked about as openly, and yeah, it's been an interesting road in the last 10 years to not just drive awareness, but also compel organisations to act based on what they're more conscious of and the elephant in the room. So, yeah, a lot has changed even before the pandemic arrived, but it's all going in the right direction, so that's what matters.
Back in day, used to get, if you looked at the analogy of the football manager, there was Brian Clough who used to, it was really, footballers at that time would play during the week and go off and get smashed, probably drink 3 nights a week, come back. That's been replaced by a far more professional environment, hasn't it? When you look at the managers today and the diet plans and the analytics that have involved. How has senior leadership changed with its view to well-being? It used to be, I doubt they'd want to entertain it really, would they? But are senior leaders addressing well-being now?
Yes, for a multitude of reasons. Typically, we look at it from 3 different perspectives. We look at the legal case, the business case, and the moral case. So yes, they do have that legal obligation to be making sure that they're addressing any hazards or risks that could be detrimental to people's psychological well-being in the same way they would for their physical well-being, even if people are working remotely. But, we also have the business case. It makes business sense, and to protect the bottom line, to think about being an employer of choice, to think about staff retention, talent attraction, and all the things that matter. They do need to be acting in an effective way in relation to staff wellbeing, but also, the moral case, it's the right thing to do. And I think that's what's really come to the forefront over the last year, certainly, is that taking care of your staff really does matter. They're the biggest asset any organisation can possibly have. And it's so, so critical that the right interventions are put in place to support their wellbeing. So it is definitely something that leaders are more aware of. Whether they know the right way to approach it, there's still a lot more support needed. There's a lot more organisations that are starting to think more about strategy, which is what us, as a team, we're working a lot closely with organisations in developing those strategies, because we've moved beyond simply celebrating and championing World Mental Health Day and Free Fruit Fridays to actually thinking, how can we develop a strategy that is outcome focused, that does have, measurable goals in place, short-term, long-term, and actually knows what we want to achieve from the strategy that we're implementing. So, yeah, like I say, it's going in the right direction, certainly, but we're not there yet.
You can go into a board meeting when you're happy, when your figures are up, you put your pipeline down on the table and go, look, our figures are up this year. You can't really do that with a well-being policy, can you? I mean, how do you get people excited about it? How are companies looking at the analytics behind well-being reports now? How do you measure well-being?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it? That's what we're there for. There is a lot more data than people realise that they can utilise to measure the impact of these wellbeing interventions. Some are right under their noses, that they're not necessarily just digging a bit deeper under the bonnet to actually see what they have available to them. Things like
absenteeism, presenteeism, that sort of thing. They can
absenteeism is one that's easier to measure than certainly presenteeism. Presenteeism typically costs the business twice that of absenteeism, but is a lot harder to measure. But you look at more having conversations, gaining qualitative data, focus groups, having conversations with staff around their attendance behaviour. Things that like the benefit usage, how much people are using EAPs, what they're contacting EAPs about, just reviewing what's currently going on within the organisation, and regularly starting to evaluate the outcomes and the effectiveness of any interventions that are new to the business that are introduced to see how effective they are. But data is absolute king if you're going to implement something that's specific to the organisation that's truly fit for purpose.
Yeah, it is. And then you can measure whether you're going up and down, obviously, like you could with any other analytic. Now,
yeah.
We're very, very lucky to have you as Chief Operating Officer at Wellity, which kind of means you do everything in terms of the delivery, getting the accreditation so that everyone that works for us has to meet your standards. What standards are these now? What standards are being seen in the workplace?
Just put that out there. I don't possibly do everything. I certainly get involved with everything, but I can't do everything myself. But no, it's just making sure that everyone that we work with is meeting a certain standard there. You know, a lot of fantastic professionals working in the wider field of wellbeing, and we just like to make sure that we work with those who have got sufficient experience, credentials, qualifications to make sure that what they're operating meets that certain criteria, so that our clients, by extension, are getting the best on the market. So to me, that's really, really critical. It's just making sure that people are getting the right advice at the moment in all the different pillars of wellbeing.
Okay, so in terms of advice, we do these at 7:30 in the morning, don't we? We love getting up early to do these. First of all,
we do, yeah.
We do, and we think, well, we're talking anyway, so we might as well press record. And it does get us going with a coffee. So give us an example of your day. What are you doing? What would be what are you delivering? What are the main courses?
So getting involved with a lot of the leadership programs that are proving really, really popular at the moment. Leadership and management is a key area of focus for a lot of organisations. Myself and the team are looking at putting together a lot of these leadership programs. Our 4 phase ones proving really, really popular, but just providing a lot of manager training or sort of overseeing that certainly with others in the training team, and looking at pulling together a lot of strategies. So typically my day, for example, today is putting together a training schedule, a program breakdown for the next 6 months of what a client's strategy will look like and how we're going to roll it out, different intervention phases, and how we're going to evaluate and review and feed back to the committee at certain points, writing 2 training decks with some of the training teams, so sort of instructional design, customisation. It's varied. Every day is very, very different, but I think that's because more organisations are understanding that their solutions need to be customised for their people, as opposed to just an off-the-shelf solution.
Yeah, and it's important to let everyone know that it's not just you delivering these, is it? You're looking after a team which seems to be growing every day. We've got 2 new hires next week, haven't we? 2 new starters next week, which is good. Now, look, last one, we've got a minute left, I think. I never start the timer, so I sort of have to invent it 3 minutes in and just guess. Look, you work for some of the biggest companies in the world, and Wellity acts for some of the biggest companies in the world now. Thank you to you and your team. Now, you used to get flown from Russia, Dublin, Paris, all over the world to keynote and to work with organisations. You're now working from your office. So are you feeling the effects as well of working remotely, so to speak? Yeah,
I do. I miss connecting with people. I miss working with live audiences. It's great to be over Zoom and all these different software we've got, but I do miss that. My own work-life balance, I have noticed an improvement in that area because I actually am travelling less, of course. But yeah, I'll be looking forward to getting back to the live events when we finally can.
Yes, likewise, and all of us joining together as a team. Look, Sadie, we're done. We must be done. I don't know what time is.
I think we are.
But thank you. I will see you later in the day, of course, and at 7:30 tomorrow morning. Thanks, Sadie.